What's up everyone, it's Nick, and in today's video, we're gonna look at my recreation of Missy Elliott's Throw It Back. This is off of her new EP, Iconology, which is actually her first release since 2005. Throw It Back is the first track on the EP, and it's produced by Willie Hendrix. And although it's very simple and has very iconic sounds, it's super effective. Let's take a listen to the recreation.
Whoa. This is a Missy Elliott exclusive.
Yeah. Walk up in this thing, I be on my game. If it's competition, I put them to shame. Different kind of chicks, we are not the same. I raised all these babies, call me Captain Jack Spade. Please don't steal my style, I might cut you out. What you doing now? I did for a while. Missy, 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 go ahead, let it snap. I'ma snatch they wigs till I see that snap. Booty, booty claps, flying across the map. Lambo on the block, looking like a snap.
If you like what you heard, be sure to download the project and the collection of samples used in this recreation. The link will be at the top right of the screen. So to start this, I actually started with the verse and started getting the drums first. And let's just take a listen to the original. I found after doing a lot of these recreations, it's very helpful to map the solo button for the original to a keyboard command, on the QWERTY keyboard. You can do this by hitting Command K, and notice I've mapped this to T, the letter T. So now if I hit T, it'll just toggle solo between the original and my recreation.
Walk up in this thing, I be on my game. If it's competition, I put the...
So I started actually with the verse and the drums because I thought that would be easiest, and then I moved towards that bass. So the drums are essentially mainly this kick, the snare, which is a layer of quite a few samples. So let's take a look. The kick is a Grand Theft kick. It's pretty standard. The snare is a layer of quite a few snares. There's a FKI Boy Wonder snare here. This is actually off. Delete that. The FKI clap and the Sunny snare. A few other percussion elements that kind of embellish the beat. So let's take a listen at the main part. So you can notice the kick is pretty busy. However, it's kind of sporadically placed throughout the arrangement, so that's a nice balance. The other thing that's very important is this open hat that's pretty much going on beats 2 and 4 most of the time. And this triangle that is a nice Scott Storch triangle. We're at 158 beats per minute, so it's pretty bouncy. And one of my favorite parts are just this busy kick and these 16th notes right on the second half of the phrase. And there's this sleigh bell that comes in every now and then just at the end of the phrase. It's very subtle, but it's really a nice touch. Another very important element is the hi-hat pattern. And I actually put this in a separate instance. This is a decap hi-hat. I put this in a separate instance of simpler because I noticed a lot of the tuning. So let's hear the original here.
Walk up in the thing, I be on my game. If it's competition, I put them to shame.
So when doing these, you need to kind of identify the bass rhythm. The bass rhythm is definitely 8th notes, but you'll hear these kind of rolls every now and then. Let's hear it again.
Walk up in the thing, I be on my game. If it's competition, I put them to shame.
So you can hear there's 2 rolls in the phrase, and I think it's pretty subtle, but the rolls are different pitches. So that's why I use simpler. That way I can kind of put the notes in, and then on these rolls, drop the note down so it sounds lower. Here's what the recreation sounds like.
Walk up in this thing, I be on my game. If it's competition.
Next most important element, I think, would be the bass line, and that definitely took me the longest to try to recreate, and I definitely could spend a little bit more time on it. Let's hear the original at the beginning.
Whoa. This is a Missy Elliott.
And you can hear there's 3 notes, but one thing I noticed that the notes didn't sound like there's a lot of attack, and so I accomplished this by actually pitch bending the 3 notes. So it's really the bass note that's on the root here, A flat or G sharp, and then the pitch bend automation So if I go to MIDI control and then pitch bend, you can hear this is the lower layer. So here's the recreation. And one important thing is that I kind of heard this FM synth, this harmonic. So I actually used an instance of operator to sound design this. There's not FM going on this bass layer, but there's quite a bit of distortion or processing. But without all the distortion and effects, let's hear that really quick. I'm going to select all of these and group them by hitting Shift and Command G. And this is just the bass layer here. So I put a little automation on the EQ nodes to kind of boost. I heard this kind of swelling in the bass. Whoa. So let's take a listen to this higher layer. This is the part that actually has FM synthesis. And while the lower layer is going, I think, a range of 5 semitones in the pitch bend, and you can control that in operator by going to the main global tab here. Yep, it's 5 semitones. The higher layer is actually only 3 semitones, 2 semitones. So it's going 3 steps total. And the automation kind of looks like this. And I heard it's very subtle. I might be tricking myself into hearing this, but it sounds, it gives this nice dissonance to it. So that's pretty much the bass rhythm going out throughout the entire track. It does switch to this 808 part here. So let's hear that. And the notes are the same. I didn't transpose it in sampler, so the actual pitches are A flat, E, and E flat. But that same kind of 3-note motif. There's a slight riser down. And I definitely could have probably got a little closer with the original. Here's the original here at this point. I might cuss you out. What you doing now? I did for a while. Now, the air horn is the one sample that I definitely know is 100% right if you listen. It's the same sample, so that was pretty easy finding that. But it's nice. It's these really, again, iconic stock, you know, what you think of electronic sounds. Yeah, and those are pretty much the main element. The rest of the track comes together by playing around with the arrangement, which I think is very valuable to maybe download the project and take a look at. It's really easy to get into a 8-bar or 16-bar idea, but to actually flesh it out for 3 minutes is where a lot of us get stuck at. So like taking a look at this, I really like this section right here on this verse second half where Willie Hendrix takes and kind of mutes the bass. It's very effective. Listen to this part. Like a snack. And by just doing those kind of little stops of the music, it kind of just gives more energy to the rapper, the MC. Flying across the map, on the block, looking like a snitch. Show you how I do it, show you how it's done. Don't look for another Missy, cause there be no another one. Watch me, do it back, watch me, do it back, watch me, do it back, watch me, do it back. And lastly, if you do notice, I do have the acapella here. I put the acapella just because the acapella adds so much to this beat. You know, the beat's pretty simple without it. To do this, it's actually pretty easy. All you need is the RX-7. So if I open RX-7 here and I find the original track, so this is the MP3. So all you need to do is drag the full track into RX-7. And then on the module train, simply go to Music Rebalance and take it so that the voice is the only thing that is up. and simply hit render. Cool, so I hope you learned something going over this recreation. As always, you can download the project and the collection of samples linked in the description. Please let us know in the comments what other hits you would like to see recreated. And as always, thanks for watching. Until next time.